like getting specific, as we've both studied this, so it's interesting. I have a chance to speak to somebody in the first division. What is your microcycle like?
Yeah.
How does it change? What does it change in function of?
Yeah.
Could you just
tell
me a little bit about that?
So a microcycle is basically the planning that you have of your week. So there's microcycles, mesocycles, and then macrocycles in football. A macrocycle is the overlook plan of what are you going to do for the year, what are you going to coach, what is your calendar, basically. And a mesocycle is what are you going to do in a month, and a microcycle is what are you going to do in a week, based on the games and based on your training sessions. So it is, as we said, is based on the games. So if you have a game, you have a week with one game.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a week with two games. For example, prior to having these days off now, we had in 8 days we had 3 games. So that's it's not a microcycle because usually it's 7 days, right? But like in 8 days we had 3 games. So that's very extended. So that week the microcycle was definitely not the same. And what is normally our microcycle based off, as I said, is, let's say you play the game on the weekend. Let's just say, for the sake of it, you play the game on Sunday. So Monday of the next game, or Monday of that week, for example, we have match day plus 1, okay, which is match day plus 1 and match day plus 2 are usually where the recovery sessions happen. We, in our team, have our recovery session in the second day, and then on the first day after the game, and the second day we have off. Some teams do it where they have off on the first day after the game. Some teams do it on the second day. There's a lot of research on that. If you want to get into it, we can. But that's how it happens. And then they have 4 days to prepare the game, 4 or 5 days to prepare the game. And those days are specific in the sense that they differ from each other, but they differ based on, in my case, in the work that I do, based on the physical aspect that you're trying to work on the day, because you cannot work on the same physical aspect on every day because you're not giving the body, or the muscles in this case, enough time to rest. And rest basically is the basis of performance. It's the most important thing for making muscles, or making the body grow, or making the body adapt to high intensity levels of football in this case, or exercise. So and then usually what happens is, if we play at home, we don't go anywhere, but if you play outside, if you play, let's say, further away, you take the bus. You usually go a day prior, take the bus as a team. You stay together in a hotel, and you visit the pitch. If you can, like, do a short session just to get to know, be familiar with the pitch the day before the game, usually that's what happens. Or the day, let's say the game is late at night. Early that day, for example, you just have set pieces in the pitch just to get to know, like, be familiar with the pitch. If it's a pitch that you've never played before, for example. And
so then, really quick, could you just take me through like an ideal microcycle? Let's say normal game at home Sunday. What would be the ideal microcycle?
So it's not. I mean, absolutely. This is what I'm having a problem with, the word ideal.
Okay, not ideal. Let's say a frequent one that would be normal for you guys.
Yeah. So
the go-to, the standard.
I forgot to mention, because again, we have to speak about this for people who probably are not in the world.
Speak about it to me.
Okay.
Like you were speaking it to me.
Okay. So, but you also have to keep in mind where you're coming from the last game. You understand what I'm saying?
Because, all right, so let's say Sunday game.
Yes.
So +1, +2, whatever you like.
Right. So let's say you played a game at home last Sunday, which was, let's say, the day before, which was yesterday. We're on Monday right now, and on Sunday we have another game, right?
Your planning happens Monday or Sunday night? I know different teams do differently.
Yeah, so the planning happens, well, technically our planning already has happened.
Fair.
But
yeah.
we start thinking about the details Sunday night after we play the game. So on Monday, we already know what is going to happen for the whole week.
Okay.
Monday, usually we do our recovery session. We then divide the players there in players who played more minutes and players who had less minutes. The players who had more minutes, they have what is called a recovery session. They have a low intensity sort of exercises and things that, exercises that help them kind of speed up the rate of recovery. Also, we aid the recovery with ice baths, cryotherapy, right?
Yeah.
Sauna after games they've been very resultful for us. Like, it's also part of the culture. They love having sauna in Azerbaijan. So it helps us at least to direct them to have those things that they want to have normally, but have them in the day that makes much more sense physically to have them. For example, in recovery sessions, they have sauna, they have ice baths after that, like hot and cold to like contraction of the muscles actually helps out with recovery.
Yeah.
So for the players who actually did not play a lot, now they have to compensate, and that's what we call the compensation session. They have to run a certain amount of time and meters, and they have to do it at a certain pace. And if the game was intense, then we also like have some exercises that they have to kind of mirror what their colleagues did based on the position that they play on the field. Let's say a center back, doesn't run the same amount, the same distance than a winger or a fullback, for example. So you cannot make on the recovery day or in the compensation day, you cannot make a center back who did not play the game run the same amount of meters that fullback played, because they're going to run much more. Yeah. Normally, that's how it happens.
Yeah.
So you divide it. You divide the work based on their positions. You divide the work based on how much they played and if they didn't play at all. So you have to be very mindful about how you plan that, and that's been my job in those days. Probably the most stressful. I love it, but it's the most intricate, detail-oriented part of the work that we have to do. And at the same time, you have to keep in mind that you cannot cause injury, but you're also doing this because you want to level as much as possible the internal load of the players. Because if you have in youth football, you usually use all your players because you want them to develop. And if you're not doing anything when it comes to performance, and nobody's asking you to win games, and there's no reason for you not to play your team or not to give chances to other players. But you have some players, that's the reality of football, you have some players that don't get much minutes. But you also don't want them to lower their physical capabilities. And if they don't play games, they're going to lower their physical capabilities. So you have to give them the opportunity to train the same way, or at least close to as possible as their colleagues did the game prior. So that's basically the idea of a recovery or a compensation day in football. And the day after that is rest.
Yes. And then the day after that is rest.
Yes.
I just wanted you to give me a quick 1 minute week plan session, 10 o'clock recovery in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, drill, dinner together, just really quick. You can even just be 1 minute, 2 minute, what we do at the FMH, the school, just making the microcycle on the thing, such. If you could just give that to me, I'd just be really curious.
Yeah. So recovery, it's a little bit late. So the next day after the game, usually because we travel. Monday. So let's say we played on Sunday and we travel back to base, back to where we live. We have a team bus obviously, who takes us. Usually that trip is 3-4 hours long. Let's say we played outside, right? Or we played somewhere else. But even if we played at home, we didn't have to travel much. Then usually we train at 10:30 in the morning. The recovery session for the next day, it's 11 usually, just to give the players just a half an hour extra, just to sleep a little bit more, because no matter how much we train them and no matter how intense the training sessions are, the game is always going to be the most intense one. So you're going to have to give them a little bit more rest that day. So that's how we do it. Let's say if we train normally at 10:30 in the morning, our recovery session starts at 11. Okay? And that's where the players now already know who's going to be doing recovery, who's going to be doing compensation. I am always in touch with them. They know if they played a certain amount of minutes, what they're going to do. So we divide the team, we divide the players. I already have specific exercises for each player, each position, what they're going to do. We start usually with a gym session that day. Again, 11, and then the players who played more and are physically tired, they, as I said, they have those recovery methods and recovery things that we use, like cryotherapy, as I said, or sauna, or other things. Sometimes they even swim, and it's great, just moving underwater. So that's when the recovery session is. Usually lasts about an hour and a half altogether. The next day is off. Usually we opted giving 48 hours off, just because a lot of research says that 48 hours after the game is where your muscles are usually more sore and tired. So we opted to give that to players the day off. The next day, which is that's going to be Wednesday, is when we come back from the day off. Training as normal, 10:30. We report at the base at the training facility at 9:45. Bus takes us there. Players have like 45 minutes, 40 minutes, let's say, to get ready. They have, some of them want to have a massage before, some of them have a routine before, some of them want to hit the gym before. We have weights and we have some things so they can work out, like have some minimal workout before they go into the session. Some of them want to work, for example, do some isometric training on their own, want to do something that is, for example, they want to work with elastic bands, or they want to work something in their body, and they're free to do it. Obviously, they speak to me before what they're doing, but so that's the routine, and then we go into the training session. Based on the day that we're working, for example, that training session, the first training session after the day off, usually is not the longest. It's not the longest training session. It is intense, but it's not the longest one. The day after that, which what we call in tactical periodization, what Portuguese people say like dia de resistência, day of resistance, day of stamina, that's usually the longest session that we have. It's longest session also, like it's also the session where we use full pitch normally. And also the I'm guessing it's becoming a little bit confusing, and I hope not, but the amount of space that you use at well is very important on what you're trying to work, what specific area of power you're trying to work that day. Is it strength? Is it resistance or endurance? Is it speed? And these usually are the main three things that we work at. So based on the day that based on your plan, for example, that day after, usually it's strength day. So strength day usually doesn't require long distances. So we usually have small distances. So you promote changing of direction, which is something that, it touches on the strength day, for example. On endurance day, we have bigger, pitch is bigger, the pitch is bigger, the distances are to run is longer, because you want to promote endurance. And also timing of the session is longer. It simulates the timing of a game. Usually it's 1 hour and a half session normally, so players have to get their endurance that day. And then the speed session, you still give space for them to achieve max speed, and that's also very important. But the session now drops into less time than it was in endurance. And then we have an activation day after that, and after that is the day of the game. So
okay,
that's
cool.
how it happens.
Amazing.
The timing of the training sessions are the same. The training sessions usually just start the same. Every time is the same, except, as I said, if, for example, if we're going away for the game on Sunday, we have a training session. Might be a little bit early, might not. Usually it's not. Okay, so we have a training session at our training facility, and then we go as a team with the bus to where we need to go, and then. If the timing doesn't allow that, we have, for example, a training session there later at night, depending on the planning, of course.
Okay, so